Yeah, they're like, these guys are boring.
So what's happening? Well, one person's back.
So I guess we decided to do this because we're waiting on a cable from a certain beer machine person to deliver at SOO so that we can actually just start doing podcasts and stuff like that. But we thought we did this last time. Let's try doing it again. We got a few topics that we want to sort of talk about and discuss.
So we got the live stream going on here, which is on Facebook, our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Which is like, some people can interact with us. But we're also, not that you can see this, but we're also recording this so that I can upload it later to various sources and annoyance of people.
So young Santa over here is Josh. I'm Greg, and that's, you know that guy, Scott.
That's Scott.
Anyways, so we call this kind of foreplay on the podcast because a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about is kind of like pre-game stuff. I mean, it's stuff that affects you in the game, but it's sort of like stuff that also is at play.
But it's also to cover stuff that's coming up for the Sioux, right? It's like it's like our big tournament, or one of the big tournaments.
Convention?
Oh, convention, sorry, convention. Which only can play Warmachine.
Yes. No, I think there's some IKRPG or something like that.
That's still technically Warmachine. You're just
I guess so.
You're immersed in a terrible flight. Is that what it is?
So, am I supposed to get demoralized when I see you go up to 4 and then drop down?
As soon as Josh starts talking. It's like, God damn it.
So yeah, SOO is this weekend. It's the Southern Ontario Open, and it's going to be great. It's great time. I guess let's just talk about what we're planning on doing at the SOO, and then we'll talk about our sort of topics. Or
sure. So I'm just planning to play a bunch of Iron Arena, like CID games and SR 2017.
That's what you mean by CID, the new
steamroller. Yeah, all the new steamroller stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really interested in playing in the Masters because I don't know. I feel like kind of SR 2016 is over with. So it's just like, let's just bury that.
It's only been around for like a year and a half. Like
2016 hasn't been 2 years.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's like I don't know. Just want to move on to new stuff, right?
Yeah. And we talk about that. It may also be a self-esteem thing. Is that good?
No, it's not. It's really not. Like I'm fine playing the list I would play in the for the Sioux, but I'm just not really interested. It's more of I don't want to have to deal with like play 8 rounds and be time restricted.
Sure.
Like, so I can play 8 rounds, but I can go. Oh, I lost at top of 2. All right, let's just go play a different game.
Yes.
Right. It's not waiting around for 2 hours.
So you could still do that.
Yeah, I know.
You can just lose the top of 2 and then go play.
Well, he was talking about that. He doesn't really like that
that.
idea of like dropping and ruining somebody's strength of schedule.
Yeah, because that's I'll win 2
stuff.
games, then go whatever, and then quit.
But that doesn't matter here.
You're confident. Win 2 games.
They do
I won 2 games of the friggin' OTC with lists I've never played before. Look, I didn't bring a galleon. I guess 3 nomads is kind of like a galleon.
Totally.
They do big event scoring here, so dropping doesn't hurt your strength schedule. I think they just.
Really?
Yeah, it's the way they've always done it. Maybe it's different.
I mean, it's not. I don't know. Will it matter for top 8? Because IG is top 8, right? Masters second day is top 16.
Isn't IG top 4?
So maybe it's top 4.
They cuss top 4, right?
Top 4. Those top 4 are going to be undefeated anyway, so that's strength schedule is not going to be an issue for that. But Masters is it top 8?
I think it's top 8.
Top 8. And is there a chance that any of those will be
depending on how many
3-1s?
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with IG, though. Could be a 3-1.
How many usually have? I don't know how many top 8 was what the cut is.
That was last year.
120 players? Is that what
I don't know if they ever got that high. I think last year might have been 90 something.
Alright, fair enough.
Okay.
That's not bad.
So you're going to be playing a bunch of filthy casual games?
Yeah, I mean, I had real games. Like I think it's like I know a bunch of the Ottawa guys that are coming up that are playing in the event.
Yeah.
And they just want to like come and hang out. It's like less intensive.
Well, that's what it is. A lot of the time is just to come and hang out. But
it also means I get to bug people during rounds. So I'm like,
yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny. I took my kid to this big paintball game thing, and there's like 400 people there or something like that.
Good lord.
And so there's like a big paintball game going on, but you're not stuck in the paintball game. You can go off and get paint and eat and whatever, right? And there was definitely like at least a third of the people there that are obviously there primarily for the social aspect of it, not for the paintball aspect of it. So it's probably very similar in terms of cons and stuff like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to play Iron Gauntlet on Friday and probably scrub out, and then I'm going to play Masters and probably scrub out.
Aren't your Iron Gauntlet list good though? Like,
oh, I don't know.
It's plenty of circles.
It's 3 lists.
It's 3 lists, but it's not like
lists.
it's
And
like
it's also
Boulder 2. 10th. I don't know.
It's also
much narrow.
It's a much more narrow group of people that are playing because of the painting requirements.
Yeah, it's true, I guess. And you only have the meaningful ones, right? Like the guys who actually really care about it.
Yes, and
like, I don't know how many.
Iron Gauntlet is like Warmachine weekend points and stuff like that, right?
Iron Gauntlet is not Warmachine.
It's lock and load.
Masters.
Right?
Masters.
Oh, it's the lock and load invite for IG?
Right.
So there's like the very serious players and stuff.
Well, the guys are like, I'm going to lock and load. You're like, not flying to Seattle. So
I don't got the $2,000 to spend on a weekend.
Yeah. so I'm going to play those two and do a little bit of socializing in between and stuff like that.
I'm hanging out with the Moose Machine boys, so I'm just commentating the whole time.
So I'm the only serious competitive player out of the three of us. Is that what we're
pretty much, yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday, so I figured I can't play it. I may only be able to come in and out a little bit, so it wasn't worth the weekend. And
commentating's fun though.
It was a ton of fun last year. We had it was good. Hopefully, Bubba's not on it every game. But.
Well, I think you just with a number of players, you should be able to splice it up, right? Or
no, they have the one table set up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But you should be able to just cycle between who the top two players are. We just don't put Bubba on in every round.
Bubba just happened to get on it multiple times.
Yeah, but you just have whoever is in charge of the stream go. It's not going to move you to this table. Like it's the same thing with when you have Magic events and you're like, we're going to stream the same players. It's like, no, this is why we have 4 people we can choose from. And we're going to stick these people in varying degrees.
Okay, so that's SOO. Hopefully we see all you guys.
Yeah.
Who are watching this.
Come bug Greg during
5G rounds. Yeah, definitely.
Right when he's like, in the middle of an assassination run, be like, you can't move that there.
If you buy him beer, he will lose the round.
It's true. I will. I don't play well when I'm drinking.
Does anybody?
So our first topic is on the spectrum.
It's Greg's topic.
It's my topic, yeah. So get angry at me. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about this because I was kind of thinking about it. I went to a really small sort of little get-together. I'll call it a get-together. It wasn't exactly an event. It was only 6 players or something like that. But I was playing against a WTC guy, and I noticed that he has a very specific way of laying out his widgets and tokens and stuff like that. He's got all the sticks here, 6 through 10 here, and 5 through 1 over there, and a certain spot for all of his focus, and very, very detail oriented.
Soul's so upset on the table.
I know. He actually said something about that.
Oh really?
Yes. Oh my God. He's going to get into a fist fight or something like that because he needs that there, right? He needs that sort of. It's his
I'm surprised somebody like Broken Egg, somebody hasn't designed a little token tray he just slides in and just has because you ever seen the Star Wars widgets, the Star Wars ones, they have everything kind of is laid out. You just
Yep. I think that'd be a good idea. I mean, that's
because then it's a lot more condensed, right? You also do
and then everything has its place, right? And that's sort of what I was kind of
wanted. Is why does nobody make a Warmachine token tray?
Yes,
because everybody's like, oh, I got Play-Doh and I got all these other ones, and I'm like, none of these really do what I need them to do, and I'm like, just design a token tray for.
I mean, you can buy stuff to entire and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's a big thing that's on the table.
Container. It's I want somebody to why doesn't Battlefield make a token thing that I can zip to my bag or whatever? It'd be so much easier than being oh, I got to take this extra tray and my dice tray and my dice and my tape.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, especially when you're 3-list tournament.
Yeah.
You're oh,
more tokens.
Literally cannot fit 3 lists in his bag.
And not only that, it's you need all that stuff when you're playing, so it's got to be on the table unless there's a space in between your table and the other.
We need to make everything 5 feet, 5 feet by 4 feet tables now.
They should. So there's 6 rows.
As the event organizer, Scott.
So that was that one experience got me thinking about. Because I like looking at his side of the table, and it's all super organized, and when he uses a thing, it goes right back to where it's supposed to go, and that sort of shit. And I look at mine, it's just it's throw it over here, and there's tokens mixed in with my cards, and I'm like, where's my fury? What did I do with my fury? It's never in the same spot. And some people might say, oh, to be a good Warmachine player, you have to be extremely detail oriented and tight and all that sort of stuff, and on the spectrum in terms of
I think that's kind of I think it's apt, right? It makes sense.
You think it does make sense?
I think it does make sense. I mean, I don't know if it's you have to be able to plan stuff out, right? Good players can be able to organize their thoughts and then execute those thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? That's why the whole talk about the whole one placement, one measurement marker is kind of relevant because it takes a lot of you have to do a lot more planning. I'd be curious to see the people who use it versus the people who don't use it, who use multiple tokens versus those who don't. no, I don't use multiple tokens. But there's sometimes
rarely that I do.
Yeah, it's
I need to do it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm also like, well, you should have the option because, like, I mean, I don't play a hordes caster who's like, I need to be at this exact spot.
Yeah,
otherwise, I can't. Oh, okay, I'm half an inch out because I couldn't place 2 markers. I couldn't measure. And you're like,
yeah. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about that. So you don't think that you think that it is an asset to be extremely detail oriented?
Yeah, I think so because you have to be able to like prioritize information, right? Like you're going to take in like what do I care about? What's the scenario? What is my objective this turn? And you need to be able to like rank those in what I need to do.
Right.
Or do I beat Bubba and just attrition? Right.
So
play for attrition.
So I think I can do that stuff in my head.
Yeah.
It's just all the shit on my table is not.
Not
working.
But I think that is just another tool for that, right? Because you're just like if you spend an extra 15 seconds looking for a token or looking for a marker,
yes. Yeah,
I suppose it speeds it up, right? But I don't know. I don't particularly. It seems like a lot of crap.
It's a lot of crap.
You're just like, my table is covered in shit.
It is a lot of crap. It's almost too much crap in a way. And I guess that's why I can see, like, Soul's argument about... Well, I'd say Soul's, but Privateer Press's argument about keeping the table clean and making it, like, a visual, sort of visceral experience. And that's hard to have. I mean, like, tons of stuff all over the place.
The game has evolved since then, and it's not that. Like... They keep trying to make those pretty tables with 3D terrain.
Oh god, it's terrible. Like all those tables look terrible. Like not to badmouth the like Warmachine weekend tables, like the iron, like the last table. Like they look amazing, but you're like these do not seem like tables that are played on by players.
No,
these seems like they're like the what is it, the Convergence? I'm trying to think of like which one that Flanzer played on.
Oh,
like you can't determine anything. Like, it looks amazing, but there's all this weird terrain that we don't know what any of it is.
Yes.
And you're looking at it as a stream because the game
cog is a hill.
The problem is the game can't be really streamed well. Like it doesn't look. It's hard to like because you're so far removed that you're like, how do I see things? Yeah. It's good if you're like annotating as you're playing, but to do a live stream, I find it very difficult to follow along because you're like you're squinting or people are
can't
talking
tell the
over each other and you're like
it differently. Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's gone from the 3D to the 2D terrain. Like,
yeah. Oh no, the 2D terrain is much better. Like, I think this is much better.
It looks good looking down and stuff, but they don't want the widgets all over the table. They want it to look good, but we've already cut out the 3D terrain, which is what looked the best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The 2D terrain, the
idea for the 2D terrain is if you want to make it more immersive, you just use these as like templates, right? So like you use that as a template, and then you can put an object over top of it. You just got to make sure that the object is whatever.
Yeah.
That way you still have that immersive feel. Like I remember they were talking. Like I think Arcade Assist talked about it, where they were talking about like immersion.
Yes.
And we were like, yeah, but I want to be immersed in a good game, not be frantically playing at Hobby Kingdom where I have to like balance a jack on a hill
yes.
and wedge a piece of styrofoam underneath it to make sure it stays on that hill. And then if anything touches the table, everything explodes.
Everything explodes and falls over. And that actually did happen. We were at I'm pretty sure at Captain Con, and there's like shit. I think it was your game. There's like shit that's like precariously balanced on this hill, and they ask a judge to come over and they're like, "Is this in range or whatever?" And he's like, boom! I don't know now. It's like done. And I mean, the 2D terrain is definitely like it's an asset for tournament organizers. You don't need to have boxes of fucking 3D terrain.
Like,
just have a little bag and out you go, and you're ready to go. It makes it a lot more.
Last year's OCC, I had I think 6 bins of terrain.
Yeah,
like I had 2. Titan brought 2.
Yeah, you had to borrow a ton of terrain.
It was ridiculous. This year, I had a little box like this, filled with all the 2D terrain that we needed.
Amazing,
glorious.
Yes. So if the terrain has gone that way, what's the problem with the widgets?
I think the thing is lack of information when you're looking at a stream. So the idea is you see like. I wonder if they're just annoyed that you look out and you just see a sea of Muson mini tokens. So it's like free advertising for Muse. They're just like, it's like, oh man, that feels bad. But like George from Moose Machine, he has his scoring list. He has them all with like they're like 3D, not 3D print, they're like whatever die cut,
laser printed
or laser cut wood tokens that have all the names on them.
Yes.
And those look really good because you're like, you can visually tell when I put this token down, it's like, this is Xerxes 2 or this is whatever. And so that actually makes sense for kind of visually conveying what information is.
Yeah.
Like whoever posted the end of the era photo, I think it might have been Banky. He posted like, it was like literally like, it's like Nemo 3 and there's like a random sea of like clear acrylic faces and you're like, that doesn't tell anything it is. Yeah, but the context of that photo doesn't make any sense. Yes. If my opponent is doing that to me, I'm like, sure, I don't know. But if you're like, you just visually tell me what you have to physically tell me what you're doing.
Isn't that the rule in the the 2017 CID, is it not specifically referring to using proxy-based?
No, it's measurement markers. Yeah, it's like, but I think this is the idea is that he planned out his entire turn.
Right.
Right, like I need to have a firefly here, I need to have this here, I need to have this here, and so he put them all out. And like that's the end of that concept. And you're like, well, I don't know. It just seems stupid.
I think you can still work around it. I think there was a situation, there was a game or something. Apparently, that JVM played against somebody. I don't know if it was on stream or what, but they had so many proxy bases on the table.
They'd forgotten where everything was. Yeah,
and he was like killing proxy bases that were actually nothing. Like,
what?
Yeah, because like they proxied something and then put another base here to say I'm going to move there, and then they just lost track of it.
But that's player error, right? Yeah. That's them making the error that we clearly didn't indicate where things were and things changed as they progressed, right? But it's also like if it's like a top end table, I don't think it's ever happened on a stream. Right? But isn't there a judge watching there to be like, you guys need to keep track of this?
Yeah, usually on a top
you should be able to actually have to maintain the game state, right? Like both players are responsible for maintaining the game state. If as soon as something that becomes unclear, it should be like, judge, we need to straighten this out.
But the other thing was, I think they had a picture where the guy had his army like this with all the widgets of like threat ranges all layered out or something.
Yeah,
and they didn't want that either because they didn't think it looked good. But I mean, like it was.
But that's what the game is. Like that. Well, like, everything's about pre-measuring now.
Yeah. I think the game became that. It's evolved into that, and I think Souls is just so disconnected that he doesn't realize that's just the way to evolve.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I don't necessarily think that. I mean, the stupid widget thing. Do you really need to do that? Can you not just go like, okay, I can move here?
Yeah.
Do you really have to be like down to the exact millimeter?
It depends on like if you have varying threat ranges, I guess, right? Like I remember watching. Was one of the games from the OTC.
Is it actually a reduction in player quality if you have to lay out all the sticks to know what you're doing as opposed to just committing to an action?
I might say yes. Like you get overly focused on that idea, I guess. But sometimes, like I guess, like the idea is you just want to make sure you're outside of ranges.
No, for sure. And part of that is like usually when you're playing, you're like, I'm going to move this guy to here, so he's exactly 12.5 inches out. Yeah. Of your threat range. But I mean, when the other player goes like, yes, totally.
But see, that's the thing. But there very rarely seems any discussion of intent a lot of the time.
Really?
Like I think intent is one of the most key things.
Yeah.
When it comes to I'm putting myself here, and then you go, actually I was short, and you're like, well, sorry, you're screwed. You
yes. Or you're saying I want to put myself here. I'm exactly 12 inches away from that model to make the shot.
Yeah.
You measure it sort of very not with sticks and shit like that or whatever, but you measure it. And the guy goes like, yeah, sure, fine. And then you go to make the shot, and the guy's like, let's get some sticks out.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, and it's like, well, no, I have enough range. But that's because because Warmachine is such a finite, like there's so many variables that are involved in it.
For sure.
And you're like, it's like that's why the game's not played on a grid, right? Where everything would be so much easier to play on a 1-inch grid where everything's measured, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot
I think intent is a big thing. I know that whenever almost every single game I play, there's multiple instances where you're like, yeah, this is my intent, or what was your intent to have those models basing, or something like that. You gotta
be clear.
You gotta make that. Yeah,
I played against Dave once, WTC Dave, and he was playing Vlad 1, and he put the proxy base down for Vlad. He's like, he's gonna go here. He measured his 3 inches, and he put his proxy base for all his wind wall because he wanted to protect him and stuff like that. And then he started moving his jacks and put the jacks all there. And it's all clearly, this is where I'm going. This is what's happening.
Yeah,
and then. When it got to actually time to moving Vlad, he changed his mind on how he was going to get there, and he had to move the widget and stuff. So even after perfect planning with all the widgets, he's like, well, I have to charge to here instead.
And something could be at a wind wall.
And then in the end, he didn't realize it, but then the one jack ended up being at a wind wall because his plan changed. So even with 4 proxies on the table, it still went south.
Yeah. So, but I think things happen, right? Like the game is like whatever. Plans never survive first contact with the enemy, right? That's the stupid adage.
We got John Mills as MK2 measuring was terrible for new players. I think MK3 pre-measuring has helped me sell the game to way more players now, which is...
I think it's true. There's less gotcha moments, right? Yeah. It doesn't feel like a gotcha. The gotchas feel bad now, though. Like, if you get gotcha'd by something, like, I did not realize that had... Like, because, if you're like...
Are you saying gotcha or gotcha because you mismeasured something
or like if you don't I remember Scott and I had a conversation about I'm like, if I ask you what your maximum threat range is, all in, and you go you don't have to tell me, and it's like, but I'm like, how? So I have to spend that's why I don't.
I have to spend the next 10 minutes reading you through your cards
to try to figure it out.
But you understand why I don't have to tell you that answer?
Why?
Because if I make a mistake, you can't come back at me afterwards. Because
so if he says it's 12 inches, then he's like, oh, no, it's actually 14 inches because I figured out Hunter's Mark after you've done your entire turn.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's why I don't have to tell you.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Because that's
most people do. Most people do. I know I play WTC players and all that stuff all the time, and they're like, yeah, no, it's 14. I'm like, oh, so his threat range is 10 inches? He's like, oh, no, it's actually 12 because of this factor. Or something.
Okay.
So.
I try to be as honest as possible. It's happening games where I'm like, my threat range is 12, forgetting that I have Boundless, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Fair
all of a sudden it changes. And so do I not get to cast Boundless because I didn't tell you? You stayed out of my 12, but it's actually 14. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
but see, those gotcha moments, they feel like both player gotchas. Like, oh, actually, I forgot this.
I think the pre-measure thing is more about the gotchas of like, I want to do this thing, and then I end up, oh, I'm outside of my Warlock's control area. I can no longer force my beast type of nonsense.
Like that stuff happens. Yeah.
Which I think it should be all right, but I guess. Sometimes it's really frustrating how frequently this game comes down to millimeters when it's like, you know, why can't this just be obviously in or out?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because you have to like take into so many variables. Like I don't know how many times you've tried to measure like distances over models, and you're like, I need to this. I think I'm in, and I'm fairly certain, but I'm like, I can't get this stick to a point where I can physically put it between models. In between and I'm like, and I really don't want to take off 10 guys and like approximate where they are, just try and figure out if I need to do this. And you're just like, oh, whatever, I don't care. I will say I'm out, and I will fudge it forward a little bit for next turn.
Make sure it's cleaner for next turn.
Yeah, exactly.
So is that like just to get back to the on the spectrum subheading?
Yeah.
The use of pre-measuring widgets and stuff like that is that like another sort of uber detail oriented type of thing?
I think I would say so.
Because I think even when it gets down to it, like I've been in a lot of situations where we're using the proxy bases and we're going through all this detailed stuff. A lot of the times it gets to a point where it's still on you or your opponent to say,
yes,
I can't do this. I don't think I can do this. Yeah, or, I think you're good.
Yeah, well, I think that comes. Yeah, I think that's kind of the line, right? Like, I think at some point you're like, okay, so we've set up this entire, like, Rube Goldberg machine to get my caster on your caster, and this is it. And your opponent can go, no, I think you're out. And that's why you're like,
you're out. And then you get a judge over, and it takes them 20 minutes to figure it out.
So, like, I don't know, I think that comes down to, like, that is, like, an entire separate, topic on, like, social contracts, I think.
Sure.
Of that idea. But I think, like, using the widgets and stuff is something that is an advantage. If you can do it efficiently, and I think if you could basically use it as a thing, but I think you also have to be able to step back from that and just understand that it's like, I don't really need to use a widget to measure all my threat ranges and all my charge distances. Like, I can just run and kind of guess where things are. I mean, that's where really good players are, in terms of good Mark II players are, is that I can gauge roughly, I don't know, like a player can gauge how far 12 inches is and be like, I'm just going to run, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah,
right? And then like, oh, okay, I'm out. And then you're like, how do you know that you're outside of 12 inches? They're like, well, I played Mark II a lot. And like, guess these distances.
I've watched Greg break people.
And Mark II?
He would just be like, he would just set up his whole turn, put us guys where he is, and the other guy used to, I'm going to get you. And he measures it, and he would be out by like a quarter inch.
Yeah. And you're like, how do you do that? And
what I can do?
Good at eyeballing.
That's what Mark II is, right?
That's the sort of stuff that the pre-measure you want. You don't want that experience. You don't want it to be like, oh, you can eyeball 12¼ inches and I can't. That's not
what the game should be about. No. That brings back like 7th edition fantasy days where you're like,
I think I might make this
I guess 36 inches toward that wizard. Oh, I hit him. Yeah. And you're like, God damn it. It's like the worst.
Yeah, but you don't want that to be a huge part of the game or anything. So we'll see how that shakes out. It sounds like the second iteration that came out with the CID document was even more severe. Where they
now you get DQ'd. Yeah, that was the first one.
It's up to the DQ is like the extreme. That's like if the event organizer decides to be a dick and is like, you don't get to play anymore. And it's like, really, that creates a negative play experience.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about that. I'm trying to essentially do something that I'm allowed to do, and now suddenly I can't get to play the game anymore. And you're like, cool.
Yeah, it does sound like they're like digging themselves into an argument that doesn't really need to be made.
Well, that was what Souls did. He drew the line in the sand, saying, this is my game, this is how I envisioned it to be played. And that was like...
That was my comment on the CID. It was like, you guys can't. Like, the community's gonna, like, backlash at some point. You're just gonna be like, we just won't play by your rules. Like,
well, that's what people have said is like it could turn into like the 40K ITC where like Frontline Gaming came out with their own rules.
But it like
changing like whole things like no, this is broken. We don't like this, so they fixed it. And if you're gonna play ITC, this is the rules we use.
Like isn't it possible to say that like War Machine Weekend's a bigger event than like Lock and Load.
I don't know, never been.
I'm not sure what the numbers.
I don't know because like it feels like it's a bigger event than Lock and Load, but like. You know, and something so if like the Lock and Load or sort of the Warmachine weekend community guys were to come together and be like, this is our packet, our event packet,
no, that's entirely possible.
Our things, and they're like, we want these rules, and then what's PP gonna do? Be like, no, and they're gonna be like, cool, so we don't care. It's like we just don't have Masters events. Like there won't be Warmachine weekend tickets, or we'll make our own events.
Which is a big deal for a small part of it anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. That's what I mean, right? PP can be like, be like, you can't have a mutually exclusive con, right? Otherwise, you have a lot of sad people.
No, is that a comment or?
Hey, it's the guy we just sent some stuff to.
Yep.
Also another added benefit of Harbinger 20-inch control range was awesome to measure. From
yeah,
SK2.
well, it's the same thing with Xerxes 2, right? When his feet turned.
Yeah,
you're just you're like that thing. But that was always the weird thing. Because you're like, I'm gonna measure this. Like you can't. You have to measure 2. You have to do friggin' Pythagorean theorem to get that to get that number because you got to measure to that point.
I measure my control area to that model. This command to that model.
Yeah, you're like, oh god,
stupid.
I miss Lady Jesus tricks for MK2, but that was definitely something that was a negative play experience.
Yes. We don't want to go back to that by any means.
But the thing is, like, the really good players knew how to pre-measure most things anyways. There was ways and tricks of doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know everything, right? Like, if you're playing the scenarios, you know generally where things are.
How far apart
like how far apart the scenarios
people
are.
were using base sizes and they knew the math for that. Like, if you're 10
that's the thing I don't know. I still I'm like, how big is a base size?
I have problems converting them because they're two different. One's metric, one's imperial. I'm just like,
yeah, I really just want to like have little like get actual bases and just have them mark like the distance marked on them. Right? Like, like this is how big it is. And it's like
I was playing Charles once and he's like. Small base is blah, so that means blah 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 blah. So you're in range.
I just uncalculate. You're like, okay.
It's like, blew my mind. All right, so we're gonna switch a little bit our topics. We're talking about confidence, and what I want to talk about when I talk about confidence was the idea of like going into a game and having the confidence to think I can play this, I can win this sort of thing. Because there's definitely like times where I get to a table where I feel like either the pairing. Or the player
lose list chicken like right out the door.
Yeah,
it's like I don't have a match. For this.
I have no play for this or anything like that.
You get steamrolled by Kador. Yeah,
used to that. I don't know. Do you have any tricks for that, Josh?
No, not really.
No,
I just kind of blindly fall into stuff. Like I'm like the worst at list chicken because I'm like I just want to play lists that I want to play, and so I don't have like everybody's like the Kingmaker Osram list, and I'm like, I don't have a Kingmaker list really. Oh, I have a Kingmaker list, but I don't play Osram, and I'm like, I'm like the special snowflake guy who's like, I want to play my own stuff. Like I played 10 games with Kane 3, and I was like, these are terrible matchups, but I don't think he has a good matchup.
So when you get to a table, you're already.
I'm already tilting.
I'm probably going to lose this game. So
yeah. Well, no, but it depends on the matchup, right? Like. You kind of feel under the. It depends on like how you perceive the matchup, kind of thing, right?
Sure.
Like if I know that like okay, this is what I should play into this list, or is it a bad idea to play into this list, right? Like am I overthinking like the idea when I played the first Kane 3 game against you, and I'm like this is a good circle drop, and then I just got fisted by circle, and I'm like okay, apparently I don't have any perception about like how this is supposed to work, and so you're just like all right, I don't get to shoot anything, but all right, that's cool.
So your confidence comes from your perception of how good the matchup is between the two lists?
I think so. I think that's kind of how I approach the game. Like if I can kind of suss out what needs to be, what the good matchups for each list are, then yeah.
So if you feel like if you get to a table and it ends up with a subpar matching for you, your confidence is already shot?
Yeah, it's certainly a lot lower than it could be. I mean, but the thing is, like, I'm not a super confident player. Like, I'm not because I'm just not sure of like. I mean, I've lost like 30 games with Mercs or something since the start of 2017. So it's like I'm just playing into bad matchups, and I'm just like I'm just running into guns and getting like it's just in a like unreliable information. I guess is the thing. Like if I'm not sure of what's going on, you get you're on shaky ground already. Sure. And then when you get your legs swept out from under you, you're like all right, cool. I'm just gonna bury my head in the sand and hope to God I can come out of it. So.
What about you, Scott? How much do you think confidence?
Confidence is always there, but it's always a bad matchup for me.
It's always a bad matchup.
It's only Troll. It's the 3 games of Troll.
I tell my opponent it's a horrible matchup for me. I'm going to lose this game anyways.
That's how you start your games.
Yeah. That can just be like, gotta build their confidence up.
So I make them feel like they're in a good spot, and I'm just like, yeah, I've totally lost this, you've totally got it, and then I will win the game.
Yeah, then you're like, oh!
It's that false sense. It's that false sense.
I feel like I pulled out a 10% of there. Sucker! I don't know.
Well, how does like the circle confidence go? Because like,
well, it's not so much that I wasn't talking so much about my faction.
No, but I mean
about
like
faction as a confidence as a player coming to the table and being like, I can win this, or I'm going to win this, as opposed to coming to the table and being like, I'm nervous.
But do you feel that you're kind of restricted? Like I feel as a Merc player that I'm restricted. My confidence is restricted by the lists I play, or lists I should play. Right. So like the idea is like, so what we were in our like local group chat. We've been like you asked yesterday about does Circle ask any questions anymore?
Yeah.
But the idea is if you feel that you're not asking the right questions when you come to a table, right? Is
the right responses.
Do I have the right decisions to make? Right. So
yeah, no, for sure. And
I'm not like obviously why I'm using personal experience to talk about how I think confidence works, right? Because it's
something I think you brought up that is very interesting is that you feel like, oh, I can only play these two lists, right? And somebody said something, another WTC player said something about another player and said, that player is extremely predictable. And I think that is something that is like related to your confidence, where it's like, oh, I know Greg, he's going to bring this Wormwood list and he's going to bring this Tannic list or whatever. Those are the lists he's going to be playing. And I know what to expect, and so I'm confident in my responses and how to deal with it. Whereas if you're a confident player and you're like, I'm going to not play what people are going to expect. I'm going to play things differently.
That's kind of the benefit, right?
Playing the meta, right? Like
yeah. Well, that's the whole like magic thing, right? Like if you're kind of like I can predict what the field's going to be generally, and then like now like the themeless thing kind of solves that because you kind of have an idea of what you're going to see. Sure. It just depends on the variation, right? Like we were talking about the whatever Kingdom Con lists, right? And we were looking at the list and we're like, what is going on in these lists? Like they seem so weird. But it's like maybe they were meta choices for the day.
Maybe.
And you're like, but like
because you do generally know when you go to Masters, it's like 16 players. You can get a good sense of what is going to be played.
Like you look, there was like what? It was like how many Crix players in the top 8? Like 2?
No, there was like 3. I think.
Was it 2 or 3? Was it
There's
some number, and you're like, okay, how many of those had Ghost Fleet? And you're like, probably all of them. Right.
Is that like, the reason why they didn't make it past like the second round?
But maybe that's because I don't know. It's one of those things, right? Like it feels like when you're talking about confidence, the idea is you can be confident in knowing what you're going to see from certain opponents. That's why, like,
yes.
So or not even certain opponents, but certain things. You're like, oh, Khador. Okay, I know what I'm probably going to see, and I know how my matchup should go.
Yeah.
Right. Like I look at it as a Merc player, and I'm like, oh, I have literally no way to like beat some of these lists. Like I have to tech specifically to
Gun bunnies.
Gun bunnies do not. Yeah, okay.
Armor 21, pretty hard to kill. Just gonna say, you're
sure.
Right.
And then
I don't know. I still think that's confidence. Like when I play, the few times that I played Jake Van Meter, it's like no matter what the matchup is on the table, like even if he's disadvantaged in that matchup, you can tell he's still confident.
I'm
he's
sure,
still, like,
but I think that comes from like the pro player level of play, like just having like. I don't know, 1,000 games. Like he literally is the Everblight, right? He is freaking like he is the Legion player. Like if you're talking about any Legion player, it's Jake Van Meter, right? Sure. If you talk about like I don't know, like I meant to say if you talk about like Convergence, it's probably Watt.
Yes.
Right? Or like there's certain players, or like who's the guy who plays minis all the time? Ricard Nelson.
Yeah.
Right. That guy he plays, like that's the kind of thing. Or Trevor Christensen, he plays Scorn. And like that's the thing, you kind of expect those, or Marc-Andre LeBlanc, like they're all Signar, right? So you expect them to have, like they are
confident in the use
confident
of
in those. You they could be thrown in. Like you could probably give like Trevi or Mark or anybody any kind of combination of Signar pieces, and they'll be like, all right, cool, I'll just run around and do stuff, and like this happens to work, and you're like, what? Like look at like Trevi, like if you follow Trevi at all, like on social media, he talks about like
he plays some weird.
I'm gonna randomly look. I brought Craig. You're like. And you're like, I'm 2-1. And you're like, what? Like, but it's also because, like, is there some level of intimidation in playing against like high-level players? And that, like, kind of certainly, like, if you're like, playing a named player is kind of a relevant experience, right?
Yeah, no.
The same thing if you played like a Magic Pro, you're like, you get paid to play this game. I'm here by fluke.
When you play a faction that much, though, you definitely can like. Yeah. That was my experience with the Trolls when we did the Domination League. We played only one caster for like. Almost a year, it felt like.
Yeah.
My level of play with Mad Direct 2 went through the roof, and I could win games that I should have lost.
Yeah.
Just because I played so many matchups with it.
Well, you can just power through stuff, right? Like, you can just kind of willpower.
You just knew your win condition. You'd be like, I'm going to lose my whole army, and then at the very end, I'm going to try 10%er, and it may work. But because I played it so many times, I knew that, so going into those bad matchups, I wasn't in a bad mood. I think I still knew what I had to do.
I think that's where familiarity with lists comes into it. Like, the idea is, like, confidence comes down to, like, am I playing a list for the first time at this tournament? Do I know how this caster works?
I think some of these players you're talking about that have that level of familiarity with the faction, take a list for the first time and know how it's supposed to operate.
But it also just comes from the fact that, like, if they know the faction that well, their theory machine is that much stronger, right? Because they're just like, well, I put all these pieces in this puzzle box to do exactly this, and you're like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know, like, I listen to the Storm Chamber quite a bit. It's the Signar one with, like, Tim Bear, Trevi, and Mark.
Yeah.
And they, like, talk about, like, they pick a caster and they try and play games for, like, the next week to kind of report on him and stuff.
Sure.
And the one guy's, like Tim talked about playing, like, Nemo 1, and he's like, I was playing into, like, Jake's 2, and he's like, and I was all good, and I just, like, going through my motions, and I forgot an Ironclad. And an Ironclad killed me, because I literally forgot about it. And it was like... it's like literally like charge distance away from Nemo, and he's like, I completely got it. It was like I felt really in control of the game, and then you're like, and that was just a hiccup. And you're like, I died, but it's one of those like, but it makes sense to like how you see how you're confident in terms of like how you can kind of play into matchups and play into games. I think.
So with both you guys, that comes from your experience.
Yeah, like if I don't know what I'm doing with the list, I'm like, just run at stuff, right? You're just like, I hope this works.
Okay.
Like, playing those Magnus 2 games, I was like, I don't know how it works. I just run jacks at you and hope to God my unyielding
You didn't have enough theory machine in your head?
No, because I'm used to playing, like, jacks with Bart, where Bart's just like, I just stand in a line and hope to God you don't kill me.
No, it's pretty good odds they won't kill you. So.
And I don't know
what does John Mills say there? Anything interesting?
No, I think we're talking about Protector of Mana or something.
Oh, it's not interesting at all.
I want to see Protector.
Okay, on a related note, let's do a quick talk about Tilt.
Blah. Tilt is the worst.
Maybe you can describe what going on Tilt is like.
Tilt is basically losing any confidence you have in a game. It's a really good relatable topic because a lot of War Machine players talk about Tilt, and like the idea is like you're trying to separate things from like the dice from the game is kind of thing, right? So like there's two types of Tilt. There's dice Tilt and then there's game Tilt. Like I suffer from a combination of both, I think.
What is the difference between dice?
So dice is like when you only see, like, I remember one game we had, and I thought your dice were overly hot and mine were cool. I had a couple really good spikes in there when it mattered, but most of the time they were kind of on the cool side. But if you look at the average over the thing, they probably played out close to average anyway. So the idea is when you're looking at dice Tilt is like, am I consistently rolling down? Like, are the dice rolling matter, and like do they only matter? Like the idea is like
it's putting too much weight
on the dice, right? The idea is like a good War Machine player will minimize the amount of dice rolling you have to do to win a game. If I can knock a caster down, it makes so much easier to kill that caster.
Yes.
Right. That's kind of one of the things. And then Tilt, like I find a lot now more because dice are impacted by weird game balances. Like I'll play into Khador with like my jacks, which are, these are the, like Merc jacks are like great, and then you're like, I have to like literally take 3 jacks to kill a Khador heavy, but that Khador heavy turns around and cripples 2 of mine, and I'm like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do here. Like, I'm mat 6, I'm still missing, and I'm like, why are they mat 7?
So that sounds like it's getting into the game Tilt a little more.
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, like, I played that one Magnus 2 game where it was like, it literally took a Talon and 2 Manglers to like kill Marauders. Like, I was killing them consistently over one turn, and I think Dave was getting mad that he couldn't get at them to kill them. But it was still just like, but it was still like, I have to work so hard. I'm using 37 points to neutralize 10 at a time, and you're like, and it's not an efficient use of thing because like the rest of his army is just meandering around.
So that's one type of game Tilt. That's game mechanics.
Tilt.
Game Tilt. But there's also like a positional game Tilt where you feel like
I don't really get upset.
What?
Tim, double cock. Or double tap. How'd you feel about that?
But that's game mechanic Tilt.
That's game mechanic.
Positioning, I don't like if I get caught in a gotcha, I'm like, oh crap. That's fine. Like I
actually enjoy getting gotcha. Because now
I
feel like I'm at that point now where if I get gotcha, I'm like, cool.
Like I got gotcha'd by Dave in that one game with Gordon, And he was like, I'm like, oh, range is like, I'm like, I think I'm fine. And it was like, no, it's actually got like a 16-inch threat. And you're like, I'm like, whoa! Okay, so that driller is now crippled and not going to do anything for the rest of the game because not only can I not knock down the superiority jack, I can't kill it because there's like, he's now suddenly def 12. And you're like,
yeah,
sixes matter.
Sixes are hard when you only roll one die.
Yeah. Oh, boost that one! Oh my god! Yeah,
so Strikeoff has got some wicked.
So like positioning, like I don't think positioning kind of is that frustrating. I think for me at least personally, like I'm more dealt with like why some mechanics don't. Like I get upset about weird mechanical issues. Like I have a jack that's sturdy, right? So it means it can't be pushed. But a slam is not a push. A push is something entirely different. And you're like, isn't this just semantics? Aren't I being pushed? Because like,
there's still a game mechanic.
Is there three types of movement? There's pushes, places, and advances that all have relevant matters. And you're like, no, there's also slams. And you're like, but a throw is a place, isn't it? It's like, no, a throw is a throw. And you're like, this is stupid. Why are there so many of these rules?
There are a lot of rules. So but that's still, I guess, game position tilt is what I'm thinking about when you
get gotcha?
No, it's more like when you mess up, you fuck up, you misplay something, or you misposition something, and you get in that tilt mode where you're like super down on yourself and you lose all your confidence and that type of thing.
I mean, I think that's certainly something that happens for a lot. Like a lot of people. Like if you get, like I've spent my entire turn measuring out of this distance, and actually I've misjudged how far that guy can go, or I've forgotten that guy gets an extra boost or whatever, and you're like, oh. But I mean, I think that's like it all depends on how you approach it. Like that is a thing I understand a little bit of tilt, right?
Yeah.
Like dice tilt, I think is the thing I suffer from.
I think
most.
That's the biggest.
And I'm like, that's the thing I like. If we were talking about like fixing Warmachine like errors, it would be my ability to like deal with tilt on dice because I'm sure I've had stupid dice where I'm like 12, 12, 12. It's like you're like I have all these sixes.
I've played a number of people, and I don't know if it's just something that's caught on. But they're rolling their dice, and they roll something like super hot, like a 14 or something like that. And they're like, that's more like it. Like they expect, this, and it's not one person. It's like I can think of 4 people that have said that exact same thing. And I'm like, really?
I think the idea with that is that if I've been rolling like cool below average for the entire game, and then I get one spike, it's like, okay, come on. That's fine. If you're going to give me all these cool rolls, give me a couple hot rolls to kind of compensate so I can kind of balance out.
They still complain about the dice, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll complain about dice. Absolutely.
Oh, I do as well. It's definitely the most common thing. So I know how you deal with tilt. You just start the game tilted.
It's pretty accurate.
I'm gonna lose this game. I suck. Blah blah blah. Oh, I won.
The confidence thing too. See, that's where I put you in good confidence. You're like, that's right. I watched my last game against you. I called it. See,
it's true.
It made me feel like I was right. I felt good after the game.
So it's a no lose situation, right?
It's right.
It's the pleasantly expected, right? Like pleasantly unexpected. It's like the pessimist. It's like I won. Hey. You're like
I lost. It was expected.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I approach every game kind of being pessimistic, and you're like, hey, I won. Yay.
Yeah. I don't think you're really like a dice complainer so much. I don't really.
He thinks I am, but I don't think I am.
Sometimes when his dice are like super cold. And they're like, and it just overarcs a lot of things. Like we played that one troll game where you were just like mental about dice, but you were like, I blew up my own objective, and I still missed like 3 boosted 8s, and you're like, ooh. And I think like I don't know. I think a lot of people respond to things differently. Like you certainly weren't like you don't get salty about it. I think is the thing, right? You tilt and then you're like, oh whatever, right?
I play like games now where I just whatever.
Yeah,
you do the Scott shutdown.
Like I felt bad. Like I felt bad when I played Tim Fung last week, and I didn't.
I whined like a fucking baby.
I felt terrible because I'm like this is not a pleasant experience for both of us. And I'm making it worse, and I'm like, we could have just not played a game.
That's where I'm at now.
But I mean, that's the thing, right?
I won't play that game.
Yeah.
If he's putting double tap on the table, I'm out. Literally, not going to play it.
I played it, but I whined like a baby the entire time.
Well, I was complaining.
But it wasn't enjoyable for you.
I was complaining. I was just like, I don't understand because I have no way to get to him. I can't shoot him.
I played that one. Feel like it's better. It might be better in 2017. I feel like 2016 it pushes way hard on scenario, and I'm just like, I can't contest.
You can't even do that in 17. Like 2017, I still think scenario is dead. Like,
well, no, I mean, I think it slows the game down a little bit and maybe allows you to pick pieces out of that list as opposed to like, I have to throw shit in the zone, otherwise I'm going to lose on scenario, and then whatever.
You just like I feed it. Like you just feed pieces into it and it just dies.
Yes, it's a grinding machine, so it's definitely not. So, is there anything that people can do about dice tilt?
No.
Because it's real. It affects everyone.
Like, I think you just have to.
It's a personal growth thing. I think.
I think it is. Yeah, you have to recognize that you're tilting. Like, you know, it's like, what is it? The first problem of addiction. An addiction is to recognize your problem, and kind of admit that you might have dice tilt and stuff. But I mean, like, the idea is you can kind of mitigate it and try and deal with not having to roll as many dice. I think is the thing.
Sure.
Right, like if you can guarantee more things to happen, like the Marauder hockey puck thing, right? You're like. Just slam everything into. Well, so you just slam everything into something. Everything. It's like the Marauders or Weapon Masters are all the time. Weapon Masters all the time. So I'm just like, whatever I'm doing, I will guarantee I'm rolling more dice because I'm like everything just gets hockey pucked, and you're like, oh, like Nigel from News talked about that, and I was like, I didn't understand that. That's what they meant, and I was like, yeah, because you're Harkovich, you just run on guy up behind it. Whatever you're going to hit. And you just like slams, like, my guy's fine. He gets knocked down, but who cares? He's still armor 23 or whatever. You're just like, ding, 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 ding. And you're just like, that guy dies, that, you know. So it's like, just try and mitigate it, I guess, as much as possible by trying to, like, not make dice a factor.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's definitely, you do end up having to roll dice at some point.
Yeah, like, if you're playing, like high armor stuff, like the prevalent of the Iron Fang thing now. Like, casters that ignore that or abilities that ignore that kind of stuff, right? Just take that.
Like, tilts the fuck out.
Anatomical precision is great. It's like, I don't even have to roll, I just kill a guy. It's great.
I'm okay with that. I can kill those before they get there. What I can't stop is a 2-cost spell.
That Affliction's great. Affliction's a wonderful spell. Fiona loves that spell. Just for that, it's like
the best thing was he put like Inviolable Resolve on them too.
Resolve.
They mini feet, high feet, and Inviolable Resolve. Their armor a bazillion.
I don't care. It's Affliction.
But you knew it was coming too.
But that's the best thing because that's like when I played Fiona a lot. That was what I loved, right? Because you're just like, I put Affliction on that unit. You're like, what's that do? It's like, I don't have to roll armor rolls anymore. And you're like, but the point is that like that thing, you're like, it doesn't really make a difference because like at that point it was all jacks and stuff. You're like, you know, all the stuff I hit, most of the stuff I hit.
And in this particular situation, it's like if you have an alternative option to stacking armor, you stack defense instead, right?
Yeah, but defense doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do as much.
You're just like, I just blast damage you to death, and you're like.
It depends. It depends on what you're facing against. It's definitely if armor's no benefit, then try to go with defense. If that's no benefit, well then you're fucked. You're gonna lose those guys anyway.
Yeah,
so
much.
just run.
But it's like that was the thing. Like everybody tells me, like Idrians are amazing in like mercs and stuff, and I'm like, I played like 15 games with Idrians, and like literally they just die because they fringe 10, and like everything else is like we're on top of you. And you're like Idrians are like, I can't fight my way out of a jab. Like I can't. I'm like, or like I can't fight something. You're like, oh, I just touched these guys, and they come out of dugout. Like I'm like, why do I not? Why do I just take? Let's play this in theme and take trenchers. Like trenchers are amazing. Everything.
I did this day once where he dug in his Adrians, and I was like, I make a twig here, I walk him forward, engage you, and then I walk back, take a free strike. Okay, that guy gets afflicted.
Yeah, exactly. And like that kind of stuff, you're just like, you suffer from, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have any like magic bullets for tilt. There definitely isn't. Like I'll go for a long period of time where I'm confident in my dice, even if I get games where they roll bad, and then something like Monday night happens where if I'm just in the wrong mood or the dice are all bad, it's just like my mind blows up, right? And I just can't seem to handle it. And I apologize. You know, you apologize to your opponent. I certainly wasn't mad at my opponent or anything like that. It's uncomfortable if you're playing against somebody that's like having to go through that.
Oh God, yeah.
Jonas says Idrians are amazing, but they die to a stiff breeze.
like that's the thing. Like when I played a guy at the OTC, he went on tilt pretty hard because my dice got exactly hot enough. But you could tell he was trying to not visibly tilt.
Did he go for ice cream?
No, he didn't leave the table, right? But he got bad. Like it wasn't like he got kind of upset just because it was like it just managed to work out. I'm like I just wanted to tell him like, dude, I had to like work to do that, and all I did was kill one model, and it was like, but it took like 5 activations and one lucky dice roll on my part for that to work. And I'm like, I'm still at a risk because you have bird's eye and can shoot past everything. And I'm like, and Bart's just like, I'm going to run around and hide.
And you'd hope as a player you'd be like, good job, you know, recognize the player's effort and stuff. But no, you're everybody's like, okay, so that's the way it's going to be.
I think there's 2 types of tilt too. Like there's the like tilt on yourself, and you're just like, no, these dice are. And you get mad. There's like the tilt aggressive, where you get like in their face about it, and that can be where you can fix it. Like stop being aggressive towards that on your tilt.
Like I mean, like
put it back on yourself and still tilt, but at least it's not the aggressive side where you maybe
try to maintain that social contract, right? Like you're both trying to play a game. It's supposed to be for fun.
Yeah.
I mean that's the reason I don't really want to play in the Sioux is I don't want to play like I played a bunch of tournament games, and sometimes people get really serious about them, and I'm like, I don't.
First round's always serious.
Yeah, but I don't.
And then you're in the fun bracket, so it's okay.
Well, I don't know. I could win the first round. I randomly won the first round, and then last year at the Sioux, at playing Minions, and then I got fed by a guy I had no idea what is listed. I'm like, okay, sure. I don't understand. Like, what? I'm like,
it's always the best when your opponent's like, I have no idea what your models do. And you're like, yes.
Yeah, and I think like I was playing Midas, I think, and he died to like blast damage from a Radis, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I guess that's cool. I'm like, because he had a moment where he was panicked because like a Roadhog like sprayed Morgul twice, and it was like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, 4 dice on blast damage is a real thing.
Yeah, I was just like, well, Midas is dead because he's camping one, so it's like, oops, sorry.
Kind of win it all on it. Yeah. I agree, though. If you can take it out of your opponent's hands, like even if this dice is going well, you could be like, what could I have done to mitigate that so even good dice rolling would not have been as impactful against me?
Nothing.
Sometimes it's nothing, yes.
I have played Donnie too many times to know Donnie's dice are hot as shit, and there's just nothing you can do except watch your shit die.
I was playing Chris Orr, and it was just like a pickup game sort of thing, and I killed 4 of his heavies on Fianna's feet turn, and I was like, I'm really sorry. My dice just can't roll below 12.
Sometimes I can't roll less than a 10, and you're like, oh, yeah. Like I'm sure that like everybody has those days where you're just like, my dice are on fire.
Yeah,
I can like,
I can do anything. Let's go all in on this 16.
You're like this 6%er, and you're like, ugh. That 6%er should not have worked like 91% of the time you die. But that's the kind of the thing, right? Like the ability to like, I think the idea of like being able to like offensively tilt your opponent is kind of hilarious.
So like,
if you're like, I'm going to take this 6%er, like, I don't know, I played like Marc-Andre LeBlanc a bunch of times, and I've gone in you know, like, I'm going to throw this at you and just randomly see what happens, and he's suddenly like,
you know the odds on this are really low.
Yeah, and so like, the idea you kind of like offset people kind of a little bit.
And I've heard good players like, you can't believe you went in on a 15%er.
Yeah, or like you listen to any like any of like a lot of the big competitive podcasts like Chain Attack and all those ones. They'll talk about like, it was a terrible idea or whatever, and it was like, it might have been a terrible idea after the fact, but it was like, well, it worked, didn't it?
Sometimes that terrible idea is your only win condition.
Yeah, exactly. So, you might as well just go for it. Right?
I've gotten to that point in my game now where it's like, hey, I'm up on scenario and I'm up on attrition. I'm moving my caster back. Because I know they're going to go for that 10%er, and I can still die. That's
why the weird CID change is, right? Like, with like Ghost Fleet being relevant as a thing, you're like, cool. So, these guys will just stand in the zone, and Denegra's just going to run toward that table edge where there's no kill box.
Yeah,
like,
to the side. Yeah.
What? You're like, yeah. You're just going to run toward that table edge, the far table edge, because it's now kill lines. Right?
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
To not have the sides, because I did play that one game against John and we just rotated.
Yeah, you just dance around each other. And
they started the game this way where they had the kill box, so they switched it the other.
So 90 degrees. You take that side, I'll take this side, and we'll both be happy. Mm-hmm. It's all good.
I thought that was a weird thing. I don't know if it'll survive. They'll probably bring it back again.
Well, it feels like the CID changes are kind of random at times.
Well, they're just like, let's try this.
Let's try this. And you're like,
I almost like the idea of like 12 inches from the back and then 14 inches from the sides. Do something like that, where it's like it makes you...
Kind of at least your caster needs to be in the middle and be at risk.
Yeah.
Anyways,
which makes more sense.
Yeah, and it's good to recognize those points where this 10%er is my only.
Well, I think that's the thing you have to decide, right? Like you need to I need to kind of facilitate this.
And that's part of that whole thing about putting your opponent in a position where his only option is this 10%er, and then he gets it, and you complain about it.
Yeah, the change from Mark II to Mark III, I think, certainly changed a lot of the tilt mechanics that kind of exist. Like the idea of of seeing in-game things that happen, like, oh, I'm going to throw my model at you, and you're like, what? Like, I'm going to pick up my model, and I'm going to throw it at that guy. Yeah. And you're like, or you didn't see that, right? Or like the electroleap thing, where you're like, I run a model over.
Oh, okay. Let's get this to our last topic.
Exactly.
Things that piss us off about Warmachine. Affliction right now.
Affliction. How many casters have it? Like 3?
Doesn't matter. Okay, so I've been playing Greg for many years now. And I was going to mention this earlier, but
and he hates every moment of it.
No.
It's Monday night, I'm playing you, Scott, and he's like...
Well, I've gotten to the point we don't play as much anymore. Like before, like when HK was around and stuff, we used to every Wednesday we'd play games in the morning, afternoon, whatever. We'd play a lot of games, but it was always to the point where there's a tournament coming up. Greg would come play me, and I'd do pretty good. But he would tailor his list to beat me at the tournament. So it was just like he's like, well, I'm going to play Scott eventually. I just want to make sure I can beat him. Like it didn't matter what anybody else was bringing, what he was doing. Fuck Scott.
I think it's funny how I have that reputation now, because Jeremy thinks that I do it against him as well.
Well, that's one of like the meta discussion things. It's always kind of interesting, right? Because you always have like you have all these podcasts that talk about we're going to a tournament or whatever, or we're prepping for this, and then like that list was not what you talked about on that podcast.
Yeah,
because you realized you just gave this list to everybody, and they're like, oh.
It might have done it on purpose so that people would be like, oh, I need to tech
yeah.
against.
But I mean, I think that's the reason like JVM is such a threat, right? In terms of like,
he always has something in his back pocket that he doesn't talk about.
Yeah,
super
and like,
about
yeah, and you're just like, oh yeah, whatever. And
he has
you're
one
like,
list that everybody knows about, and the second list you have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it's like, what does this do? It's like this covers all the lists that you create to like, I'm going to play this in my league. Actually, this is a terrible legion drop. Why did I do this? It's like playing. It's like I don't know. It's like
all right, Affliction.
Well,
Scott
again,
doesn't like Affliction.
I don't like Affliction, but again, like my
two
perfect
casters
setup.
have it.
Like, it doesn't matter because Greg's gonna bring it out against me, and then the fun stuff I have that's like the denial piece doesn't fucking matter, and it's all dead.
Just bring your jack list with all the jacks.
Affliction literally does nothing against them. I get to do a point of damage per attack.
So yeah, he's got 20 attacks. And
I dropped the reason on that list though.
That's the thing, right? Like certain things really take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Right. Like Affliction with like Reeves is just like cool.
Yeah. That whole unit is dead.
But it's like mini feat, spell, feat.
But the armor is irrelevant.
But that's what I'm saying. There's like 2-cost spell. That's better than your feat.
You would have been better. Well, you also forgot to make all your tough rolls.
No, I chose not to make tough rolls. I played hard mode. That's what I call
it. Did you make tough rolls, or did you?
No, he forgot the first bit, and then he's like, "No, I'm not." I said, "Well, make them for these 3 guys that I just killed." And he's like, "No, I'm doing hard mode." He was doing the Scotch shutdown thing. Anyways, okay, something else that's pissing us off, or you off, Josh. Something that's pissing you off about.
Electroleaps? What was that?
Yes, Electroleaps is a normal thing. But I mean, we don't have enough signals. The thing is, like, yes, I can complain about Electroleaps, but I'm also like, we only have like 2-ish Signar players, and one of them only shoots me to death. One of them is like Andrew, who plays like Sloan. So I'm like, I don't get Electroleaped by that. It's not always Donnie, and it's just like, I'm probably gonna lose to Donnie anyway. And I'm just like, I mean, like,
he has been doing pretty good with that Nemo list, right?
Yeah, the Nemo list is
14-0.
But it's just the thing because like we don't have any. There's not a lot of Signar players, right? We have like our current meta is like a lot of Khador and a lot of.
Yep.
Right, and so it's like, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of Signar players around, and they're obviously a good faction, but it's like, Electroleaps are not the thing that I gripe about.
Right. What do you gripe about?
I gripe about, like, all the jacks being different, like, weird mats, and it's like, why do I pay that?
A Mangler being 14 points?
It's like 15 points.
No, 14.
He's 15. He's 15 points. 15 points. It literally is like, we were just sitting there doing math, and I'm like, I don't understand why I like, or like even like drillers. Drillers are like 10 points, so they're like comparable, but they're 1 less defense and 1 less armor. It's like, why is that a thing? Like, they're still mat 6, and
they have sustained attack on the.
It doesn't matter. Like Dave was like our game I played Gordon, and I was like, I can get a 10-point armor swing on this Mangler, but I have to engage like 7 pieces to do it. And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I just punch and cleave off like the arms that matter. And you're like, all right, cool. So I guess my 8-inch threat jacks. No way.
So are we talking about disparity between jacks, or are we just talking about disparity between anything in Khador jacks?
Disparity between jacks, I guess. I mean, like, cause like you said, like, Circle Beasts are mat 6 too and stuff.
Oh, they are actually.
But it's like, a lot of ways to like fix that. And like the idea is you have like a lot of threat range relevance, right? Like,
yes and no. It's not Legion levels threat range.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But like nobody's
No, I guess not. But it's something that irritates me a little bit is that Legion has like a built-in telekinesis.
Oh yeah,
Slipstream. It's just like in any list I can have telekinesis to just take this War Beast. And I'm sure it's not. I don't think it's overpowered or whatever. It's just something that irritates me now and then. So rockets, rifle corps. Killer jacks.
I like there are answers. I think it's one of the issues that you run into with like, especially with mercs though. At least I find is that you like, I'm pigeonholed into taking certain lists, or you feel like you're pigeonholed into certain lists,
like you are.
and you're like, all right, I'll take Damiano and Kingmaker, and like I quite like I play Charles Sung's Damiano with like 3 nomads and stuff, and I'm like, I can't beat a rocket list because like.
Not with that.
Those jacks come in, and I'm like, he just waits for me. Like, I have to feat to, like, do any damage to his jacks. But at that point, I don't have enough focus to do anything to his jacks.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yeah, but, like, if your jacks expose themselves, the rockets just rocket them off the table, and you're like, ugh. And then, I have no infantry. My thing I've been finding is that mercs have, like, aside from devil dogs, have very little infantry that can deal with jacks, like one-on-one.
That is the big problem.
A lot of factions have that problem.
No, but you have Iron Fangs, you have, like, ways around it. Like, Khador has rockets that shoot stuff off the table. Like, there's, like, this
I think
weird
Khador,
dynamic.
if you look at Khador's extensive arsenal of infantry options, they use a very small...
Yeah, well, that's because they're pigeonholed in taking particular lists, right?
Yeah,
like,
but it's the same thing that influences them to do that, is that can this unit kill infantry and heavies?
Yeah.
If it can, I'll use it.
I have nothing. I
don't want it.
nothing. I don't think I have anything that does that.
Right.
Personally,
Circle doesn't either. I mean, we take sentry stones because
they're sentry stones. They're
yes.
broken. They're Scott's real problem. Like, you know, I have problems with sentry stones.
I actually feel like sentry stones are still a little too good because either they're a little too good or the meta is still a little too hate on infantry that only kills infantry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no reason to use the other infantry. Sentry stones. I know people are like, why are you killing one of your twigs? Because I want to play it before Rada style. So
yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I know this is happening.
How long does he threat? What does this guy say?
Seraph would never be seen if it didn't have Slipstream, and they pay the points for it.
It's true, but it also has flare gun. I don't know. I can see Corey's point. You know, it's like, yes, I have to pay points for this, but that's like any other animus. It's a fantastic animus. It basically gives telekinesis to any of your casters. So
yeah. And it's like, I mean, it's not an irrelevant piece, right? Like,
I don't know. Flare's a shit of
Flare's really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Like is it D3 shots?
It is D3 shots.
So it's the sad D3, but it's like the same thing.
D3 shots for anybody but Jeremy. It's one shot for Jeremy.
Well, it's the same thing with Crick's things. Right? Like, I play a Leviathan, and you're like, one shot.
Yeah, the random shots thing. I don't. That's kind of like, consistent across the board. Is that you're paying a certain amount of points, you have a certain amount of expectation of output, and if it's like consistently giving you one shot, then it's not actually getting its points value.
Like it was like I honestly feel like they should have the same. Like there should be a rule that the Sluggers in Mark II had, where that if they moved, they only had one shot, but if they didn't move, they rolled D3. I always feel like
still have D3.
Yeah. I think they have D3 base now.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is like I almost feel like there should be a rule that if I have a multi weapon and I choose to aim, like I sacrifice my movement,
you get maximum shots.
You should get like +1 to the die roll or something, right?
Right.
Because like that way, like I mean that obviously is really sad with or really awesome with the Gowning because I'm like I get 2 shots per side, but it's like I have to aim, and if you're like I engage you. The aiming, well, I can't aim, I don't get the bonus, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, or I have to turn to get my fields of fire in range.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only getting 2 shots per side, or 4 shots per side, but it's like, it's still a very sad moment where you're like, I need 2 shots.
Just 2, please.
Just 2. And you're like, God dang it.
Yeah, I mean, you can like sort of math out a model's effectiveness based on a concrete number of attacks, but when it has a random number of attacks, you can't predict.
It kind of suffers.
Yeah.
Maybe it's pointed out at 1 attack, and the other 2 bonus.
No, it is not. How much is a Leviathan?
16 points.
16 points.
Like they're like whatever. Cricksjacks are Cricksjacks, right? Like they're just like we had that Jack discussion. Whatever.
Yes.
And like the disparity in Jacks is weird.
Well, they said they based the Jack. We'll finish up real quick here because we're probably pretty long on time. But the Cricksjack, the Slayer was supposed to be the basis of comparison for every other Jack, right? Because he's 10 points, and then you have the Crusader, and then you have like Marauder, Juggernaut, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. How do they compare a Marauder to a Slayer and say 10 points?
But that's it. But that's because I think the idea is that
because they're like
defense doesn't matter.
He's speed 6. He can actually get the alpha.
But he's dice -3 on like 2 of his attacks.
You can combo pound 20 or
pound 20. Wow, so he gets 1 attack.
Yeah, I know.
So do Marauders. That's what they do.
Yeah, but a Marauder is better off taking 2 attacks against him because he's dice -1 instead of dice +3. Right? Like,
versus him, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't seem to be a good comparison because the defense 13 is not enough to make up.
Defense 13
doesn't
give you any benefits, right?
No, especially with the weak grid that he has and how much how quickly he can get crippled. So it seems like
10 guns, always a threat to a Slayer.
Oh fuck! Yeah. Oh shit!
It's like gun mages. Like gun mages never see the table anymore.
No. I was like, I started a little thing last night, and I was like, I'm gonna try to look through all the cards again just to refresh myself.
Yeah.
And I barely got through Signar because I was like tired, but I got to like Nemo 2, and I was like, holy fuck!
Yeah.
Why isn't this guy played?
Yeah. He
still looks so amazing.
Some of them are just like
I never liked Nemo 2. That's why.
No, he's got some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's the same thing though. Like you talk about like
his feet puts out 3 focused all his jacks.
Yeah.
And then in his turn, he
take
could
it
spend all 7 of his focus and then pull it all back in and like have 7 more to do something. Like
he's
and how many like I don't think Signar
like, it's the same thing like Nemo 1 and Nemo 2. Like they both have really good like Nemo's gun is really good. Nemo 2's gun is really good because it's got like voltaic lock or whatever. The thing. That was like my favorite thing. You're like shoot that jack.
It's not going anywhere.
Now it can't go anywhere. You're like in a game of like in Mark
he's around it. The spell is voltaic snare and it stops it locks down the one guy and everybody with close to it can't run or charge
anymore now.
It does.
Oh, does it still do that?
Yeah,
they can still move.
Whatever.
It was
kind of like blowing my mind. I was like, why is it?
Yeah, like some of them. That's the thing is like some of them you're just like what because there's so many. Signar has so many good casters.
I'm sure he doesn't like answer the problems that they have.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure their problem is not mass Kador jacks. Their problem is probably mass Kador rockets or something like that. Just shooting them off the table, right? And probably for that you want a decel caster, an arcane shield caster, or something like that, right? Somebody who can buff up the armor. Anyways, any other final thoughts before we sign off on this random pre-podcast nonsense?
Yay.
Woo! Nope, that's it. I'm totally looking forward to SOO.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I'll try
some games. Maybe I'll scrub out and then I'll go play Josh.
Woo!
In Iron Arena.
That'd be totally worth it. It's like let's go to Captain and play guys in our car.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can't remember what tournament that was.
That's what I did. At Midnight Tournament, I played the Midnight Tournament, and last round I played Charles.
Well, last round I don't give a crap about. It's the first round. Like I have traveled some measure of distance to play in this tournament. And I play. I think you guys were talking about one of the London tournaments. And they played the first round, and it was like that shouldn't happen. You should like be able to like randomize it in such a way that like.
They should have. I know we always try to make sure that happens.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I'll try to hopefully we see people at SOO.
Yeah,
check out
all you Corey James Weistras.
Yeah, check out our Patreon. Go check out our Patreon party file. It's pretty easy to find. Just go search for it. We're giving away
Red Army.
Grab that.
Grab the robot.
Sorry.
So we're almost, we're a third of the way there. We need some more donations. Go donate. We're going to give away a whole 75-point multiple caster list Red Army. Fully painted by...
So 75 points plus casters.
Casters, yeah. So we're giving that away to everybody who supports...
Not everybody.
Well, everybody who's a supporter on Patreon will get a raffle ticket based on how much they support us.
I'm not painting a Red Army for every Patreon.
Everything.
And you just got to pay for shipping because I'm not paying for that. That will be
expensive.
So, if you want this nicely painted Red Army that looks like this, go visit our Patreon. Check us out. Come visit us at the SOO. I'll be at Moose Machine. He'll be playing games. Josh will be playing games.
Probably not. I'll probably just be standing around.
That's what I feel like. You're not going to play the socializer.
Well, it depends.
But you're also not going to walk up to someone and say, hey, you want to play a game? You're just going to
You're going to find yourself... What I did is I went to Iron Arena on the Sunday because I didn't have enough time to play the Masters.
Yeah.
And everybody I wanted to play were like, oh, I want to play this weird format
or
something.
Like, the fact that...
And I've got this list that I've made that's completely tailored to that format.
Yeah, my problem with Iron Arena, like, at the last couple events I've gone to, is that there's all these random tables, and you're like, this is a giant colossal walking around punching shit. And I'm like, can we just play a game of SR? Like, can we just take this off? Like, play this regular table? And
no, you're playing Iron Arena. It's all got to be cute.
It's all got to be cute.
I just feel like you're not going to go and approach anybody. You just be like, you need a shirt that says, I want to play a game. Tap me on the shoulder.
They have a hat. I'll wear the hat.
They have a hat that says
they have a hat. It's like the stupid hat. The stupid hat. Looking for players.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Hopefully.
Well, if you see Josh, run up to him and say,
play games. Yeah, play games.
Maybe our first actual podcast will be like the recap of the weekend.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I'd be like, I played 2 games.
All right, finish up. I gotta go to the bathroom.
All right. How do you finish up? Greg leaves.
Yeah. I leave. I'm just out of here.
It's like the post ring.
Corey says, how drunk do I have to get you this weekend for you to be my personal painter?
Oh my god. I already have a client for that.
You don't want me as a personal painter. That's the truth.